me the dozens of people of the professional stature that were standing in line collecting the same check that I was looking to collect.
There's a tremendous fear that when you've given, in my case, 27 years, 2 close scrapes with terrorism, and then going to the Persian Gulf, and all I get for it is a $280 a week check on unemployment, you begin to wonder, and you certainly begin to fear.
We were in a heck of a big recession. We were in a close to a depression, actually, because like they say, the people that are working, they're in a recession. The people out of work, they're in the depression. What's happening now is that the president he's jumping from one program to another, trying to stimulate the economy, but it's going to be a long turnaround and a long battle.
There's so many people out of work, and, America's been taking care of, of a lot of the other countries, spending their money and taking care of them, just like they went on to the war, spent all that money just to protect the oil, mainly, I guess, and, they're not looking out for the people here. Doesn't seem like, doesn't look like they have their priorities set for home.
In terms of my friends who graduated along with me, not everyone has a job. And I think a few years ago, more of those people would have had a job already lined up. Only the people who have been working in computers and have had a sort of co-op program for the 4 years that they've been in college or more, they're the people who have a job. Otherwise, it's the part-time job they had before or something of that sort.
As inflation rises with income, inflation's rising faster. The job market's becoming flooded with all the areas that we were told are great, lucrative areas to go into. Like business majors, there's a flood of business majors, and there's nothing you can do with that now, and you've got to go on and get your master's.
This is supposed to be the land of opportunity, the example of democracy in the world, and the new immigrant doesn't feel that they will make it here any longer, because it used to be that you will come to this country and within a week you will get a job.
You work, and then you get laid off or the job after going to bankruptcy, and now you're without a job. You got kids in college, and that costs too much money, and then health insurance is so expensive you can't afford to even go to a hospital. So I think the American dream is just what it is. It's a dream. I don't think it's achievable anymore.
President Bush is previewing his speech with Republican lawmakers and his cabinet this morning. We'll bring you our preview at 8:30 Eastern this evening, and then at 9 o'clock we'll bring you live coverage as Mr. Bush addresses a joint session of Congress.
The fear of losing a job is very real for many Americans, especially these days. Well, we have some help. A new Money magazine survey ranks 100 jobs based on security, prestige, satisfaction, and salary. The job at the top of that list was biologist. It pays about $64,000 a year. Bear in mind, these are averages, so if you happen to know a miserable biologist, figure him into the averages. Number 2 on the list was geologist with an average salary of about $70,000. Doctors came in third despite their high incomes and prestige because doctors work long hours and face the threat of lawsuits. College math professors and high school principals are 4th and 5th on the list. Both of their jobs pay something over $67,000 a year. You should also know car salesmen were 99th. Taxi drivers, 100 on the list. The Money magazine survey also lists the top paying jobs. That's a separate category. Doctors came out on top here, about $315,000 a year. Financial planners made close to $145,000. Dentists, veterinarians, and airline pilots all earn over $100,000 annually. The results of how to get job security are featured in the February issue of Money magazine. The co-author of that article is Lonnie Luciano. She joins us now from our bureau in New York. Good morning, Lonnie.
Good morning.
Did you happen to get a reading on the prospects for staff writers for financially oriented publications?
Not that specific exactly, but journalists, print journalists, were down around, I think, the 80s. I wasn't too encouraged.
Okay. What job categories did you come to believe were the most secure? And I'm talking categories now. What kinds of things?
Well, we surveyed both short-term and long-term security because, of course, as you've just given abundant evidence, we are in a recession right now, and it's very difficult to get a job in most sectors except for possibly healthcare. So in the short term, the only sector that we found enjoying substantial growth was healthcare, jobs like licensed practical nurses, pharmacists, physical therapists, things that relate directly to the delivery of healthcare services. But in the long haul, by which we took to be the horizon of the next 14 years, which is the way the Bureau of Labor Statistics looks at the long term, computer analysts, legal assistants, as people switch out of wanting to go to lawyers for everything and go to paralegals to get some of the more simplified legal matters taken care of. There were a few interesting ones. Flight attendants have a good long-term horizon. You would think with the airline industry crumbling, flight attendants would have no horizon, but the truth is with jumbo jets, there are far more passengers being carried, so you might not need more pilots, but you need more attendants to take care of a greater number of passengers.
Right.
My personal least favorite was lobbyists. We're going to have more of those.
I'm going to mark that down. Is job security, is your feeling, more a matter of the job that you have or how you behave in that job?
Oh, it's absolutely a matter of how you behave in the job, because even your very best performance and behavior and loyalty will not automatically be rewarded if the company simply goes out of business. So you've got to take a far more aggressive and interactive role in your own career management from here on in.
All right, say you've got a job, you like it, you're happy there. What do you do to enhance your prospect of staying right where you are?
You make yourself valuable. You acquire all the skills that you possibly can, not only the ones relevant to the job you have now, you should certainly have those skills, but all the skills relevant to the job you want, and all the skills relevant to just general marketability. For instance, computer literacy. There's really not too much reason not to be computer literate when virtually every company has some access to computers. You can go, even if your job doesn't involve using computers, you can go ask somebody to teach you how to use software, so at least you carry that skill with you. Career counselors mentioned to me that it's no longer enough to be a specialist. You need to be a totalist. You've got to understand both the specialties involved in your job and industry and general skills like management skills or human resource skills. You really need to be valuable.
Something about other people's jobs that you work with as well.
Precisely.
Right. What are the signs that your job might be an endangered species?
Well, of course, there's the obvious signs that most people would recognize: a poor performance review, where you just don't get a salary increase and your boss says, well, you know, you're just not worth it to us. But there may be signs that slip by you, that you're bored, that you think nobody's noticing but you, that you've lost enthusiasm, that spark isn't there anymore. Somebody's probably noticing. Of course, then there are external signs that have nothing to do with you. If you notice that your division seems to be in trouble, losing, you know, people left and right from your division, or your company's in trouble, your industry's in trouble, you've heard rumors of layoffs, take them seriously. They may not be true, but assume they are true and act accordingly.
Okay, finally and briefly, if you were, and I ask you to put yourself in this position, a college student, trying to figure out what to go into, how would you find out what prospects are in that field, specifically?
Well, presumably you've studied for something specifically, and I think that your placement office is a good source of good news and bad news about your field. But I don't know if I were hard-pressed to enter the field that I really wanted. If I couldn't find a job, that I would despair. I think I'd take a break and do something that would make me more valuable down the line when the recession's over. I think I'd become involved in volunteer activities, see if I could get an internship somewhere, work for free just to get education, just to get experience on my resume.
Lonnie Luciano, thanks for your time and your help.
My pleasure.
When Day Watch returns, busy Space Shuttle astronauts take time out for a news conference from space, and we'll have the latest.
CNC Music Factory!
And a heavy favorite sweeps the music world's biggest popularity contest. Stay with us.
Something's waiting inside the powerful 486SX computer. A technology that will make it even more powerful. We call it Room for the Future. Introducing built-in upgradability. Check into it. From Intel, the computer inside.
What happens when you buy Purina Biscuits brand dog snacks? You get a coupon worth $1.50 off any Purina dog food. Here's how it works. Buy Purina Biscuits, get $1.50 off. Purina Biscuits, $1.50 off.
Purina Biscuits, $1.50 off. Purina Biscuits, $1.50 off. Purina Biscuits, $1.50 off. Purina.
Remember, with Purina Biscuits, you'll never have to pay full price for Purina dog food again.
Nice dog!
Win a free trip to Asia's land of smiles, exotic Bangkok, Thailand. Enter Bay's Entree to Thailand recipe contest and you may win a round trip for 2 on Thai Airways. Send us your original recipe using Bay's English muffins. And if you win, the week-long cooking school at the Oriental Hotel in Bangkok is yours. Plus, 4 days at a Thai beach resort or mountain hideaway. Look for specially marked packages in your grocer's dairy case. To the land of smiles from Bay's.
The crew members of the Space Shuttle Discovery are keeping up a hectic pace despite the fact they have an extra day in space. Their mission has been extended and they'll land Thursday now instead of Wednesday. That'll allow large crystals to continue growing. The crystals have industrial applications. The astronauts have also subjected themselves to a variety of disorienting experiments to test the human body's responses to weightlessness. But despite the stomach-churning research in a news conference this morning, the crew members maintain their lofty aspirations.
I guess things are changing in the world so rapidly right now that it sure is tough to call that one, but I would not be surprised to see the United States and our allies in Europe and other places in the world working together with the Russians and pooling our technology to accomplish the goals of all mankind.
We will bring you live coverage of the shuttle landing now scheduled for 11:09 a.m. Eastern Time Thursday.
Tabloid newspapers call her the damsel of death. In a hearing today, a Florida jury will consider whether to recommend the death penalty for an admitted prostitute who police say may be a serial killer. Eileen Warnos claimed that she killed a customer in self-defense, claiming that she was raped.
I was raped. I hope you get raped. Scumbags of America.
Warnos has been charged separately with 4 other slayings and is a suspect in 2 more. A strong stomach may be one criteria for jurors sitting on the Milwaukee jury that will try Jeffrey Dahmer. 2 potential jurors were excused yesterday, saying they could not endure the testimony. The sanity trial is expected to deal with mutilation, cannibalism, and sex with corpses. Mike Tyson's trial on rape charges could begin as early as tomorrow. The boxing champ faced the glare of hot lights as he arrived at the Indianapolis courtroom this morning for a second day of jury selection. 7 of the 12 required jurors were selected. 5 were selected yesterday, and now 7 of the 12 are selected as of today.
And still ahead on Day Watch, Washington rolls out the red carpet for its Redskins. Mark McKay will have details.
For those of you who can't see real well here, don't forget we've got that big video screen back about 3 or 4 minutes.
Time Life Music brings you a treasury of classics. 33 symphonic masterpieces in a spectacular new collection. The Time Life Treasury of Classics. More than 2 full hours of great music, and every selection is performed by world-renowned orchestras and conductors. A once-in-a-lifetime musical experience, the Treasury of Classics. 33 selections on 3 LPs, 2 double-length cassettes, or 2 compact discs for only $19.99, plus shipping and handling. Only from Time Life Music, the name you can trust.
To order credit card, customers call 1-800-648-3900. That's 1-800-648-3900. Or send just $19.99 for 3 albums, 2 cassettes, or 2 compact discs. Plus $4 shipping and handling to Treasury of Classics, P.O. Box 1880, Department 2, Alexandria, Virginia.
Today, your police force. As crime in America continues to grow, how the police handle the pressure when the job of upholding the law rises above the law. On Sonia Live, 1 p.m. Eastern today on CNN.
I saw Flip come in with his neon umbrella, so I figure if the weather person comes in with an umbrella, that's pretty serious rain we're talking about.
Fear of rain. Flip?
Needed it walking in, may not need it walking out. There is still rain here scattered across the southeast, but I do think that will continue its easterly movement throughout the day. It may continue to rain across North Florida and the Gulf Coast. That's where it has been raining the heaviest, simply because of the overriding warm air here. I tell you what, talking about that overriding warm air, there's overriding warm air overriding much of the country. I tell you, here we are in the last week of January, and there is just not much winter weather out there. We did see a few light snow showers scattered from the Great Lakes area across the northeast, but tonight, if any precipitation breaks out in the Great Lakes area, it might even be in the form of rain. We really have inordinately warm temperatures. Don't get me wrong, it's very cold up in here. We're seeing highs only in the 30s or even the 20s. But in that area of the country, from the Great Lakes to the Northeast, highs in the 20s and 30s in late January is certainly not below normal. It is either normal or above for many places. The other area of rainfall is out here in the Northwest. Lots of it. Just one weather system after another rolling in through the Northwest. This one, as the last couple have done, will move into the Northern Rockies and fizzle out. There's another one right behind this, maybe 12 to 18 hours away, maybe not even that long. It'll move in. I think it is stronger, and this one has a chance of bringing some rain into Southern California, which would be good news. Let's take a look at our forecast weather map for Alaska, Hawaii, and the Caribbean. Interesting for Hawaii, there is a tropical depression about 1,100 miles due south of Honolulu, but at this time it is affecting the Hawaiian island chain not one whit. Our forecast weather map for the lower 48 looks like this. Here you can see the scattered showers continuing across the southeast. The weather system down here will continue to drift off very, very slowly to the east, it appears. I mentioned the weather system in the northwest rolling into the Rockies. Some precipitation there will change on over to snow. But watch this one. It appears at this time to be a stronger one than this one. We'll have more weather coming up a little bit later. Right now, take a look at specific forecasts for cities around the nation for the remainder of the day. We'll have more weather coming up later. We were talking about how far ahead we're going to start forecasting. A new thing coming here in the CNN weather. We're going to give you probably the 400-day forecast. Now back to Bob.
Can't wait. Keep waiting. Mark McKay, the story of a party day.
Oh, sure. Unofficial holiday in the nation's capital. For sure today. I really hate to hear how many times the tune Hail to the Redskins will be sung in the nation's capital, but it's safe to say the majority of Skins fans have learned the words by now. It's an official day of celebration in D.C. in honor of the newly crowned Super Bowl champions. A huge victory rally is underway at this hour, as you can see courtesy of this live picture on the Great Mall. The U.S. Park Service estimates that upwards of 200,000 people have converged to listen to the speeches and take part in the cheering. Some fans, though, might go away disappointed since 8 Redskin players are not taking part. This is scenes from yesterday as the Skins came home to Herndon, Virginia to meet a crowd of about 1,500 of their faithful. Now, as I was saying, some fans might go away from today's festivities a little disappointed. 8 players, including MVP award-winning quarterback Mark Rypien, are not part of the festivities. They're in Hawaii to take part in the Pro Bowl coming up this weekend. But it's going to be a lot of fun when that team arrives on the Mall in Washington, D.C. in just a few minutes. Now, for some other news concerning the other team that played in Super Bowl 26, the Indianapolis Star newspaper reports that Ted Marchibroda will leave his offensive coordinator's job with the Bills to become the new head coach of the Colts. If the expected becomes reality later today, it would be Marchibroda's second go-round with the team. He coached the Colts from 75 to 79 when they were based in Baltimore. Last time Nebraska and Oklahoma played on the very same basketball court, it was the Big 8 tournament last March, a game won by the Cornhuskers in overtime. Well, last night, same two teams got together, and again they staged an overtime classic, at least one that went right down to the wire for Elvis and the gang. Time winding down in regulation, Brent Price gives Oklahoma a 1-point lead, 77-76, but then Eric Piakowski's jumper is off the mark. Sooners get the rebound. It's Price ahead to Bryant Vaughn for the slam. Oklahoma by 3. They end up winning by the 79-76 count. Got all the scores and much, much more coming up next hour when Jim Huber returns. He'll also keep an eye on that rally in the nation's capital. Right now, let's find out what's cooking.
Dinah Shore has been famous in the entertainment world for over 50 years. Most people think of her in terms of her singing career. Well, somewhere along the way, while she was singing for her supper, She also learned to cook, and some of her best cooking takes place when she's helping to raise money for the March of Dimes at their gourmet galas.
My interest in cooking in the gourmet gala is not only because I adore to cook, but because I'm proud of my cooking. And the recipe that I'm doing tonight, I didn't understand they had to be regional, so mine is generic regional. It's California, Tennessee, Santa Fe, Mexican style, chicken pizza.
Dinah starts with a simple pizza dough. On goes a classic Italian tomato sauce with a fine flavoring of oregano. A few pieces of sausage, black olives, slices of green pepper, strips of pan-fried chicken breast, a few mushrooms, and some capers. There's an old song called Someone's in the Kitchen with Dinah, and now I know why. If you'd like a copy of the recipe for Dinah Shore's Pizza, just send me a stamped self-addressed envelope marked Dinah Shore. Send it to me at Box 2000, Ansonia Station, New York City, 10023. Well, that's what's cooking for today. I'm Bert Wolf.
Campbell's heard your healthy request.
Low fat.
Less salt.
But lots of taste.
Here's our answer. New Campbell's Healthy Request ready-to-serve soups. All the great taste you want without some things you don't. New Campbell's Healthy Request. And healthy.
Hey, it's a beautiful morning.
Was it the Days Inn wake-up call?
I'm gonna be salesman of the year.
The friendly service?
They'll cheer.
Or the great location?
Maybe they'll even make me regional manager.
One thing's for sure.
It's a beautiful morning.
Days Inn. Isn't it time you wake up to us?
I think I'll go outside and just smile.
Remember when Cat sang for Meow Mix?
Meow, 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 meow.
Well, now there's an all-new Meow Mix. With flavors cats prefer 3 to 1. If cats sang for the old Meow Mix, what'll they do now? All new Meow Mix. Tastes so good, cats ask for it by name.
Meow.
To say the least.
If you're ever near Durango, Colorado, you will find a road to the sky. Where 100 years ago, men searched for the gold and silver they saw there. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo territory, all across America. And every day, with every car nationwide, only Alamo gives you all those miles for free, including a 70-mile stretch along Route 550 in Colorado that takes you right up to the sky.
Tonight, a tax cut for the middle class, universal health care. What will President Bush offer the American public, and how will it affect his re-election? The State of the Union address tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
The pop group CNC Music Factory mass-produced accolades at the American Music Awards. The group earned 5 trophies at last evening's awards ceremony in Los Angeles. CNC Music Factory swept the dance music category, knocking off such luminaries as Madonna and Mariah Carey. Garth Brooks continued his domination of country music. The crooner collected 3 trophies, but in absentia. Brooks canceled his appearance to remain with his sick wife, who is 3 months pregnant. Sandy Brooks became ill on the flight to Los Angeles. She was treated and released at an L.A. area hospital.
Thank you for joining us on Day Watch. I'm Bob Kane at CNN Center in Atlanta.
Good to have you along. I'm Donna Kelly. Catherine Cryer is here, and Cryer & Company is just ahead. Catherine.
Thanks, Donna. Bob. Well, schools around the country are handing out condoms to students. Some parents are outraged. They say such programs encourage sexual promiscuity. Others say it's a crucial step in saving the lives of sexually active teenagers. We'll hear from students, parents, and school board members. But first, a financial update right after this.
Gotcha! Where's one?
Aha! So that's what happened to Dad's Kraft-free singles.
What free singles?
The fat-free kind. Helps Dad watch his fat and cholesterol.
Haven't seen them. Besides, we like them.
Sorry, campers, but these are different. See? Craft-free means fat-free. For Dad. We'll save him some. Any bread in this?
Craft-free singles. Flavor like that without the fat.
In Switzerland, Ricola has been soothing sore throats and relieving coughs naturally for over 60 years. Ricola is a blend of 10 organically grown alpine herbs and natural flavors, providing pleasant-tasting natural relief. Ricola, the natural choice for soothing sore throats and relieving coughs naturally.
Coming up, Cryer and Company, followed by News Hour after this local commercial break here on CNN.
This is no way to look at new cars, but this is Dewey Ford's huge indoor heated clean and dry warehouse at East 4th and Grand. Dewey has over 525 vehicles available during the winter warehouse clearance sale. Tauruses, Tempos, Escorts, F-150s, Ford Rangers, and more. A tremendous selection at warehouse prices. So get out of the wind and the rain or the ice and snow and be cozy. Do it at Dewey Ford's indoor heated clean and dry warehouse at East 4th and Grand.
Quality. You hear a lot about it, but what does it mean? For more than 60 years, quality at Anderson Erickson has meant one thing. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. It shows in using only the finest, freshest ingredients, the highest standards of production, and painstaking testing. Old-fashioned values? You bet. Because the more things change, the more they stay the same. AE. For more than 60 years, quality you can taste.
This is CNN.
I'm Beverly Shook at the New York Stock Exchange. Stock prices are higher this morning. Many blue chip companies reporting earnings today. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up about 9 points at 3250. Volume once again heavy, 86 million shares traded so far. Advancers leading decliners 7 to 6. And on the broader and secondary markets, only the NASDAQ index of over-the-counter stocks is lower. Americans seem to be more pessimistic about the economy. The Conference Board says consumer confidence fell this month. The index had leveled off in December, but in January it fell more than 2 points to 50.4. But not too much reaction to that news in the credit markets. The Treasury's benchmark 30-year bond was higher before the report, and it's still up a half a point. The yield is at 7.67%. And we'll be back in an hour with another update. I'm Beverly Shook reporting live from the New York Stock Exchange. More and more teenagers are having sex, and some of them are dying of AIDS. Now, a number of schools are handing out condoms in a push to save young lives. Hello, I'm Catherine Cryer. Welcome to Cryer and Company. Two of the largest school systems in the country will give condoms to students. The New York School District already hands them out. Last week, the Los Angeles School Board voted to follow suit after much heated debate over the issue. As you can see, outraged parents say the move will encourage teens to have sex, but others say it's too late to worry about that. A CDC survey shows that 72% of high school seniors have had sex. Meantime, controversy is building over the condom handout programs. It's a deadly dilemma. In the U.S., 20% of all people infected with HIV are teenagers. Jennifer Michelle is one of those teens. She joins us from Los Angeles. She's an 18-year-old high school student who is infected with HIV. Regina Chow also joins us from Los Angeles. She is 15 and a high school sophomore who's against the school condom program. Well, thank you both for coming in and joining us today. Jennifer, let me begin with you. Debunk the process for us just a little bit. There are a lot of people that say in a perfect world, teenagers would abstain, AIDS would not be a problem. Is that the situation, or is it a problem that needs to be addressed in the schools?
Well, as nothing is perfect, we don't live in a perfect world. And therefore, we can't expect children to behave perfectly. You can bring your children up with the morals of what you wish them to have, and you can hope that they'll do the right thing. But the chance that they don't is so great that if they do that, you don't want them to die because of the chance that they took. You want them to be educated and be able to protect themselves.
Well, Jennifer, many say that that's fine. Parents ought to take up this role. This is not something that schools should address. Why the schools?
Because you have to have somebody who knows what they're talking about to educate the kids. The teachers have to be educated so that they will be able to educate the kids. You cannot go around and educate all of the parents just so they can educate their kids.
So, Regina, what's the problem with condoms being distributed by schools?
It not only promotes sexual activity, it's not safe, and I think the risk is too great to have thousands of children, teenagers, take, and I really don't believe that.
Okay, explain that. Wait just a minute. Explain that for me just a little bit. What kind of risk are you talking about? What's too great for teenagers to take?
Well, I don't know the risk for the AIDS, in preventing AIDS, but I know the risk is 1 in 6 for condoms using to prevent pregnancy, but a woman can only get pregnant 3 days out of a month, so that means AIDS, the subject of AIDS, that'll be a lot greater.
Okay, now Regina, you stood up at a school board meeting, as I understand, and made your position known that you oppose schools distributing condoms. What's the alternative?
I believe an abstinence-based program would be a lot more effective. We have a DARE program in the LA School District, and that has been effective. That's the motto being just say no against drugs. And I believe that if we can have that same motto for sex, I think it would be a lot more effective than condoms.
Is that being naive? Do you really think that teenagers today, a large majority who apparently are having sex, will just say no?
I really think they will say no.
They won't because I'm one of them.
No, I really think they'll say no because, I mean, you have society telling you what to do, what to say, and with the DARE program, people, we have that same society saying, drugs are okay, especially alcohol, and then we have this DARE program that's telling you, just say no, and it's working.
Okay, Jennifer, you say that's not the case. Why not?
Because there are still kids doing drugs everywhere. That's very prevalent, especially since I live in Hollywood, and there are kids still having sex. Kids have sex. It's a normal, curious thing that they do. Some decide that they're ready maybe before they are or whatever, but if they want to, they're going to, and somebody telling them no isn't going to change that. I was raised and taught abstinence, and obviously that didn't work for me, and it didn't work for a lot of my friends either. Kids are going to have sex, and they say that condoms aren't perfectly safe. It's a lot better than nothing.
Well, Jennifer, you've had a chance since finding out that you were infected with the HIV virus to get out, as I understand, and speak to young people. What kind of responses are you hearing about condom distribution?
A lot of the things when I went out to speak, people were like they didn't want to be in the room and they didn't want to talk about it. But once they realized that I was HIV positive and that I was somebody that they could have met on the streets and I could be going out with them, I think that really made them think. That really made them like, wow, I could have gone out with her, and what if I wouldn't have protected myself and all of that. And I think it helps to go out and educate the kids, have peer educators and people like that, because the kids need to know. You can't hide information from the kids. By not talking about sex doesn't mean sex isn't going to happen.
Regina, turn to Jennifer, if you would, and give her your approach or your pitch. She's now facing a life and death circumstance because possibly failure to receive information, to receive alternatives. What do you say to her?
I say basically education is not only condoms. I mean, education includes abstinence and includes everything else. And if people choose to be abstinent, they won't have to take that risk.
But what about the people who don't choose to be abstinent? What about the kids that are going to have sex? The ones who don't live at home or for whatever reason, the ones who are out there on the streets, the prostitutes. Everybody needs to have condoms, not just the goody two-shoes kids who live in the schools,
but you don't
who live with their parents and who do what their parents say and what everything their parents says is right. They're taught abstinence. That's wonderful for those kids. But not everybody lives in that fantasy world of perfectness like Beaver Cleaver.
Yes, that's true, but...
And those people need to be protected. We're just as important as everybody else.
I didn't say that. I'm just saying, condoms are available in, Vons, Save-Ons.
I didn't know about them. Well, I wasn't educated. If I would have known about them, I would have gone and got them.
Well,
but they need to
it
have the
isn't their fault,
education
then.
in the schools. I know. It's the school's fault for not having the education
We
I
can't say
needed.
it's the school's fault either. I mean, when you have a decision to make, especially when it comes to sex, you need to take the responsibility to go out, find protection, or, know the risks.
But if somebody doesn't tell me that there are risks, how am I going to know? I was taught in a health education class about pregnancy and a couple other little things I just told you about, mostly getting pregnant and the pill and stuff like that. So I figured that's what they taught me. That's all there was.
All right, Jennifer, Michelle, and Regina Chow, you are highlighting some extraordinary points that we need to continue this discussion with in just a moment. Thank you very much for joining us. And just ahead, more viewpoints from parents and partisans. We'll ask if schools go too far by taking over parental responsibility.
Well, because I don't think there's anything the school can do to really discourage teenagers from sexual activity. So as long as it's going to occur, I think it's important that the kids practice safe sex. Obviously, ideally, it would be nice if they abstained until they were adults, but since I don't think that's reality, I prefer that somebody take the responsibility.
One of the cleanest sources of electricity we have. A source that doesn't burn anything and so doesn't pollute the air. A source that emits no greenhouse gases and helps preserve our natural resources is nuclear energy.
So in my interview, they told me how Dow can take all this coal and turn it into clean burning gas.
Wouldn't that cut down on acid rain?
You got it.
Sounds like one serious job, son. I just wish it wasn't so far away.
Gonna miss you, Mike.
Hey, take care of this for me.
You can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Son, show 'em what you got.
'Cause Dow lets you do great things.
At the Ashby Inn, the secret of our chicken rice recipe is in the rich taste of our chicken stock.
Country Inn rice dishes made with hearty country ingredients in Uncle Ben's rice. Taste the country in Uncle Ben's Country Inn. Rice dishes inspired by the finest inns.
Kids, Del Monte Pasta Classics are just a way to hide vegetables in perfectly good noodles and sauce, like we wouldn't notice.
New Del Monte Pasta Classics. So easy and delicious, some people are nervous.
The voices of American voters.
I think people are disappointed.
We keep having to compromise.
Hear how people really feel about racism, unemployment, and other major issues. The People's Agenda, a Democracy in America special. Sunday, 9 Eastern on CNN.
I think it's important that we distribute condoms to students in high school, and I think they should be informed about AIDS and other diseases even younger than that, and I think that, we can save a generation, and if we don't inform them and provide condoms, that we might lose more children.
I think you should teach abstinence rather than having to use condoms. Last night, the Newton School District voted to make condoms available to students. It's the 6th community in Massachusetts to do so. It's a growing trend, but some say it sends mixed messages, provides a false sense of security. Barbara Boudreau joins us from Los Angeles. She's a member of the Los Angeles School Board and a former teacher and school principal. She raised 2 sons and has 2 granddaughters. Linda Fosberg-Lloyd joins us from New York. She's an elected town meeting member of the Brookline Civic Association and the mother of 4 youngsters ranging in age from the teens to the 20s. And Jan Atwell is also with us in New York. She's president of New York City's United Parents Association, a federation of parents groups and PTAs. She has 3 daughters. Welcome all. Barbara, let me begin with you. I hope you had a chance to hear the conversation between Jennifer and Regina.
Yes, I did.
Is this a situation that schools should get into? Are parents not coming through and teaching what the children need to hear today?
Once again, I think we have undermined the authority of parents, their rights, and their roles. And once again, I think public education has taken on a big load to educate youngsters in this area. We cannot get to the academics for all of the other social ills that we have to deal with. I feel that the public agencies have to take a proactive stance in helping to eradicate teenage pregnancies, helping to eradicate the AIDS virus, but not put it on the shoulders of education.
Let me bring Jan in here. Jan, if it's a question of life and death, if Jennifer is HIV positive and facing those issues at age 18, can she worry about being educated?
Obviously, we all need to worry about them being educated to the academics, but their lives, they have to be alive, they have to be here to get that education, and this is a real health crisis and emergency. I think that all of us would prefer that we had a health system that could give the information and make all of the protections available, but our health system is not doing that job, and we have to get to where kids are to save their lives, and that's right now is in the schools.
Linda, you are a parent. You've got children out there. You're confronting this situation on a day-to-day basis. Where do you see the responsibility, and does it matter if we're really talking about life and death for children?
The responsibility, I think that's quite obvious, and I feel when I think what I want for my children as a parent, I realize that what I have to do is reach them, as Jan said, not only where they are, but where they're thinking. And I must try to empower them to make their own decisions wisely, because the reality is that kids aren't necessarily listening to parents, believing in parents' ideologies. They've got to have a sense of ownership themselves. They've got to internalize the message that we want to deliver. So we have to be able to reach them and have them open their minds to all the various possibilities of protecting themselves. It is a national health crisis. I don't think we can run away from protection through availability of condoms, but I think it's critical for education to be a part of the act, so that both schools and parents are together talking to children and in any way possible trying to reach them. The reality is we're not going to be there when the moment of truth arrives, and we have to hope that they can trust themselves and their judgment and all the education they've gotten from all sources to make the right decision for themselves.
Barbara, talk to me a little bit about those kids that might fall through the cracks, the kids that don't hear the abstinence message, the kids that don't have parents at home communicating with them. What happens to those children?
You know, what we're doing is sending out mixed signals, a hypocrisy that we cannot do as educators. In the state of California, we do have laws. We have a statutory rape law, which says that any young girl, 18 or under, can be in the laws saying that you are contributing to breaking a law.
Barbara, let me interrupt just a moment because I don't want to get sidetracked on that issue. And in fact, that points up the notion that a law is on the books, but statutory rape continues. Girls under age 18 do have sex, consensual or not. So the law allows you to prosecute, but doesn't keep the act from occurring. So back to the notion of children and sex and abstinence. The reality is teenagers have sex. What do you do about that?
By law, we have to teach abstinence. By law, we cannot give out condoms in the school system to further make the youngsters have sex. If we promote sexual promiscuity among our youngsters, then we are breaking the laws ourselves.
Jan, what about that?
Truthfully, it's always been portrayed that way, that this is going to make children more promiscuous, and it's an either-or situation. A comprehensive AIDS education program includes, first and foremost, the message of abstinence, that is the safest and only way to guarantee that you will not contract the AIDS virus or any other sexually transmitted disease. But we have to go beyond that. Obviously, if the message of abstinence that they get at home and in school is not enough, if 80%, and that's what we're told in New York City by the Board of Health, 80% of our adolescents by age 19 are sexually active. They are making those decisions, and they need to have information on, if they're going to make such a decision to be sexually active, how to be responsible, safeguard the lives of themselves and their partners, and to have some kind of protection. And they have to be informed about the limitations of condoms and how to use them properly.
Linda, your child comes home with a condom that he or she got at school. What's your reaction, and has the school crossed the line?
That's a very good question. I think that condoms should be available but not distributed. I think handing a child a condom is no different from handing a child a pencil. What do they do with it then? I think the issue is that the child does have to take responsibility for their actions, that a condom should be available when they want it to be available, but that education about condoms and proper use of condoms and education about abstinence as well education about everything should begin as early as possible for children before this really becomes a hot topic and they can really listen without being clouded by their own emotions.
Well, maybe I'm not sure where you're drawing the line. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What about safeguarding the youngsters who are practicing abstinence? What about them?
What kind of safeguards do they need?
Are we sending signals to them, emotional signals to them, that if they don't engage in sexual activities, that something is wrong with them? I see that we're doing a lot of psychological damage to all of our youngsters in doing this.
I don't know about in California, but the situation in New York City is exactly as Linda describes she would like to see. In fact, the program that was adopted by the Board of Ed, which we as parents had input into and insisted that they adopt, was that first and foremost, children be taught about disease transmission and the dangers of the AIDS virus. Secondly, that they be taught about sexual abstinence, and that condoms not be distributed in classrooms, but are only made available in the school to students upon request, so that those who give up on the message of abstinence, make a decision to be sexually active, have access to protection and the means and information on how to use it.
Barbara, do you have any problem with that?
It was just the opposite in Los Angeles. We had a small group of people who put a proposal together, and the proposal did not include parents. We did not bring parents in until the very end, and that is why there's so much hypocrisy involved in this, because if we are talking about having parental input in the education of our youngsters, why bring them in after we have made a decision?
Well, Barbara, let me ask you a question. Do you have a problem then with condoms being made available upon request by the teens but not distributed? Do you have a problem with that proposal?
With parental consent. And as it stands, the parents can opt out in Los Angeles. And opting out means that when a student takes home the consent form, if it is not returned, that means it's a consent. If a child should lose the consent form, that means consent. So it's a bogus type of a consent. And that is what I am opposed to.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and just ahead, these mixed messages. We'll ask if giving condoms to students is confusing the issue of safe and responsible sex. Stay with us.
They say diversify to reduce risk, but I'm no financial expert.
I know how to build a house, not a portfolio.
How do you judge each investment? When to buy or sell?
And who has time to follow the market?
Because most people can't be masters at everything, Fidelity Investments created the Fidelity Asset Manager. In one easy mutual fund, it seeks to diversify among and across stocks, bonds, and money markets. And Fidelity professionals carefully watch your investment for you, gradually adjusting your assets to keep pace with changes in the market.
It's designed for those of us who aren't financial experts.
Call now for this free fact kit on the Fidelity Asset Manager.
I called. You should too. There's no pressure to invest. There's no sales charge either. All your money works for you.
Diversification made simple. Call 1-800-356-8100 for your free fact kit. Fidelity Investments. Common sense, uncommon results. Share price, yield, and return will vary.
Where we predict you'll have the best time every time. For a free vacation kit with valuable discounts, give us a call.
Campbell's heard your healthy requests.
Low fat.
Less salt.
But lots of taste.
Here's our answer. New Campbell's Healthy Request ready-to-serve soups. All the great taste you want without some things you don't. New Campbell's Healthy Request. And healthy.
Beginning February 6th, TBS takes you live to a championship in paradise. It's the United Airlines Hawaiian Open. Live complete coverage begins February 6th, exclusively on TBS.
Watch it here and understand it here. Watch it here and understand it here. Ever get the feeling the world is moving too fast? How can you keep up with all that's happening? New discoveries, new technologies, new ideas, an explosion of knowledge changing the way you'll live and conduct business in the 1990s. How can you keep up? Stay informed, understand. For more than 2 million readers, the answer is Scientific American, the world's foremost science magazine. And now a trial issue can be yours free without obligation. Scientific American is fascinating, informative, always new and exciting, filled with dozens of colorful photographs, drawings, and diagrams to make complex subjects clear. Call now for your free trial copy, then decide. Accept a 1-year subscription, 11 more issues, 12 in all, for just $19.97. Or cancel, owe nothing, and keep your trial issue. But if you do subscribe, you'll get 2 special gifts. This parchment replica of Scientific American's first issue, dated 1845, and this impressive collection of articles by Nobel Prize-winning scientists, including Albert Einstein. Remember, the 1845 issue and the Nobel Prize winners collection are both free when you subscribe. Call for your free issue without obligation.
The number is 1-800-635-3400. That's 1-800-635-3400.
My role will not just be that of a moderator, but a participant. You really never know what you'll see or hear because it's unrehearsed.
People come out of prison, repeat their crimes at an 80% level.
It's called real TV.
Returning to our discussion on condom distribution in the schools, Jan, whether parents are debating or concerned educators, everyone agrees the issue is saving the children. But in a world where television, where advertising, where film glamorizes sex, treats kids as adults at such an early age, can the message really get through?
Well, that's where they're getting all the mixed messages from, not from the school in a well-designed program that does give them the accurate information that they need and does stress abstinence. So we do need to give them more than just these messages. Frankly, we've got to save their lives. That has to be the bottom line, and this is a health emergency.
And is there a bigger challenge here, or a bigger picture than just condoms in the school as the issue at hand?
Oh, absolutely. It is about the messages that we're giving our children in many different areas of their lives. And during adolescence, you know, one of the students said before that we have to have students talking to one another. Adolescents' peers are their biggest influence, and it is the most effective way. And so we do need to work with our children to develop positive messages that they can share with other children their own age.
And Barbara, what about this? In a perfect world, abstinence would be the answer, and all children would listen, realizing their lives were at stake. But knowing that's not the situation, how do you compete with your message?
How do you compete with it? I think right now we have to have our State Department of Health to form a war that's on all of the ills that we have and release the school districts to go back to the educating youngsters in the academics. Certainly we have a life-threatening disease with AIDS. Certainly we need to work on that virus. Certainly we need to do everything we can as a school district to help. But can we shoulder all of that responsibility and abandon our prime focus is to educate youngsters in the academics? And this is where I fall short in trying to feel where are we at as an educational institution. Are we a health institution or an education institution? And until we can bring that back into focus, we can't do anything to solve this problem.
Linda, you've got the kids. What is the focus?
When we have the children, we teach the children.
Excuse me, Barbara, we're about out of time. Linda?
All right. The focus for me is an opportunity to talk to my kids in a way that other generations didn't have, because the taboo's been broken now. Parents, schools, intergenerational conversations going on all over the place with kids about this issue. It's very difficult for us adults to find our voice. We have to do that. We have to talk about emotional intimacy as well as physical intimacy as a part of sexual activity, and it really gives us a chance to speak affirmatively and to affirm what's really important to us in all our lives as far as relationships go. I think this is an opportunity and we can't miss it.
All right, and an opportunity that we have been able to illuminate a bit here. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. Barbara Boudreau, Linda Fosberg-Lloyd, Jan Atwell, and our earlier guests, Jennifer Michelle and Regina Chow. Thank you all. Now, Now, if you'd like to write to us, send your letters to Cryer & Company, P.O. Box 740-166, Atlanta, Georgia, 30374-0166, or send us a fax at 404-681-3578. I'm Catherine Cryer. Thanks so much for watching, and NewsHour's up next, and Bobby has a preview. Bobby?
Thanks, Catherine. Just ahead, President Bush gets his ammunition ready for what's being called the economic equivalent of the Persian Gulf War. We'll have a preview of the recession-fighting package he plans to unveil in tonight's State of the Union address. And the State of the Union and the nation's state of mind. We will look at both in Promises, Promises, a half-hour special at the bottom of the hour. NewsHour is next.
Coming up, NewsHour, followed by Sonia Live after a word from your local cable system here on CNN.
Remember the story of the three little pigs? It took 3 tries before they learned to make a house that was safe from the wolf. Well, people have tried a lot more than 3 ways to build houses. First off, most people find bricks are too expensive. So what else have we tried? Well, there's wood, but you know what you have to do to wood every 3 or 4 years, and with good paint at nearly $20 a gallon, that's pretty expensive. To avoid painting, someone invented aluminum siding. That worked until there was a hailstorm or a neighborhood baseball game. Vinyl siding also took a beating from hail. And look out if your neighbor has a fire. Can you imagine having your house just melt? Then we figured out how to make siding of steel. Now, there is tough stuff. Hail doesn't hurt it, never needs paint, and it looks great. But siding comes in 12-foot lengths, so you have those ugly splices. For siding to be durable and look good, it has to be steel without splices. So the people at ABC Seamless Siding invented a way to take the siding manufacturing machine right out to your house, so they could make siding on the spot, in the exact length needed, even 100 feet long. Finally, we solved the problems of aluminum and vinyl siding. Is ABC Seamless Siding the perfect way to build a house? We think so, and we'd like to mail you information on the reasons why ABC Seamless Siding is best. Someday, all siding will be made like this.
As homeowners, we are all aware of energy cost. Making your home energy efficient is important, and here in Iowa, there is a company that can help you, ABC Seamless Siding, because they use quality siding, installation, and energy-efficient windows. I fully endorse ABC Seamless. Not only can they beautify your home, they can save you money too. As energy costs keep climbing, put your energy bills in check. Call today and find out how affordable ABC Seamless products can be.
This is CNN.
President Bush polishes his plan for the future and gets ready for his State of the Union message later today.
And in the second half hour, how people and politicians view the state of their country, a special segment, Promises, Promises. Welcome to NewsHour. I'm Bobby Batista in Atlanta.
And I'm Reed Collins in Washington. Some great expectations surround tonight's State of the Union address. Some, in fact, have even called it the most important speech of the Bush presidency. Mr. Bush has helped set the stakes high himself by refusing to divulge his blueprint for economic recovery until his address to Congress and the American people. During a photo session this morning, a reporter tried to get him to talk about it.
I think it's going to be all right.
Prizes?
Yes.
And up on Capitol Hill, the Senate's Majority Leader George Mitchell said the Congress is willing to cooperate with the president.
We are ready to work with the president for a well-conceived plan of economic recovery and long-term growth. We hope his State of the Union message will offer a substantive plan to do that.
Meanwhile, Mr. Bush seems to be growing less popular with John Q. Public. New poll by CBS and the New York Times shows his approval rating has dropped to 43%. This could be compared to a peak of some 88% back after the Gulf War.
One of the issues that shapes what Americans think about the State of the Union, crime. The word on the street, what to do about crime on the streets. And here's a sampling of how Americans view the problem.
Every day we hear, yesterday the cleaners was robbed. This week another restaurant 2 doors down was robbed. Some friends of ours across the street were robbed by shotgunners. And the store here, actually they even robbed them when there was a policeman standing outside.
Right. Shootouts on the street.
Yeah, we have fights outside here from school children, it seems like every other day. Yeah, crime is definitely on the rise.
The cities here in the United States, now a city like Chicago, a city like New York, a city like Los Angeles, they all broke their murder records this year. You know, every one of them. You know, the murder records have gone. I mean, how can you truly be free? How can you not live in fear in an environment like that?
You know, I'm a believer in whatever happens at the top is ultimately going to filter down to the bottom. And when you have a government who cheats and lies and makes promises and breaks them, I think that is filtering down to the rest of us.
I worry about crime and how my family would be impacted by it. But I don't think as a nation we are really committed to trying to do anything about crime. I mean, because I think that we know that if we really made education and health care and jobs, if we made those things priority, all our crime wouldn't disappear. But a lot of it would.
In my opinion, we need to return to the old days of, as crazy as it sounds, the chain gang. Take these folks and put them to work, hard labor. You know, this is what you've committed a crime, a serious crime against society. You will repay society. Instead, they're put in prison and 3 squares a day movies, weightlifting, and, you know, that type thing. It's like a resort.
I suppose, in my opinion, the answer to that problem would be is to provide enough work, enough jobs to where people don't have to resort to theft to try to maintain some kind of livelihood. And I don't know that we can ever do that. There's always going to be that factor out there where someone is in need and they're going to, you know, do whatever it takes to fulfill those needs.
When you have a society with strong family, you have far less crime. You have far less problems in every area of that society. So it's not simple, but it's where we've got to start to rebuild America.
CNN plans extensive coverage of tonight's State of the Union address, including live reaction from voters in New Hampshire and California, the first and last primary states. Our coverage begins with a preview of the address at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, we will carry the State of the Union address live starting at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Democratic presidential candidate Bill Clinton is trying to get back to a normal campaign schedule and put that allegation of marital infidelity behind him. That may be a tough task if a new ABC poll represents the view of most Americans. While 80% of the 790 people surveyed said the Arkansas governor should remain in the race regardless of the allegation, 26% said they could not vote for a candidate who had cheated on his wife. Clinton has acknowledged difficult times during his marriage, but will not say whether he's been unfaithful. Clinton's wife is supporting her husband. During an interview on the CBS News magazine 60 Minutes, Hillary Clinton had said she's not some little woman standing by her man like, say, Tammy Wynette, but is backing him because she loves and respects him. Well, now Wynette, the country singer who sings a song called Stand By Your Man, according to her agent, has found the comment not just offensive to her, but to anybody who, in her view, is married. The chief accuser in the controversy, Jennifer Flowers, held a news conference yesterday in New York City, repeating her claim of a 12-year-long affair with Clinton. He has denied any romantic involvement with Flowers. Governor Clinton is scheduled to appear live today on Inside Politics. He's to be interviewed beginning at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
The judge in the rape trial of boxer Mike Tyson wants a jury picked by the end of the day. 7 jurors have been seated so far for the trial in Indianapolis. In all, 12 jurors and 4 alternates will be chosen. When selection started yesterday, the defense tried to draw a distinction between Tyson's personality in the ring and out of it. Tyson is charged with raping a Miss Black America contestant in July. He insists the woman consented to sex. A jury is also being picked today in Milwaukee for the trial of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. He has pleaded guilty to the murders of 15 young men and boys. The jury must determine whether Dahmer is insane. Potential jurors are being warned they will hear tales of necrophilia, mutilation, and cannibalism. One woman was excused after saying she did not have the stomach for it.
And just ahead on NewsHour, another day of Discovery on High and some down-to-earth celebrations, too. Superheroes and their fans in Washington, D.C.
In the early 90s, the real estate business changed.
I've got your financing seminar, 2 closings, and a showing.
Busy day.
Busy morning.
Professionals took control, trained to use the latest marketing tools.